Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see so many friendly faces again. I've been here for about 2.5 years, so people are starting to look familiar. And I'm actually remembering a few people's names. And if you work with me, you know that can be a real challenge for me. But part of research in MS and part of clinical research in MS is something called knowledge translation, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to review what we did last year and update you on the data that people here in the audience last year, and maybe some of you are here, actually helped us do research. And so part of that is our commitment to you to give you an update on that and what we've done with that work in the past year. And that's what we're going to do today. And the talk I had last year was, what is clinical research and how do I participate? We're going to review a little bit about that because we hope to do it again in the future. But this is a follow-up report to persons living with MS and those who care for them and other stakeholders. This was my team last year. Most of them are still working over at the university. I just want to acknowledge them because, as you'll see, the logistics of this was a real challenge. And it takes a lot of people to do what we did last year. And again, we've set up a system so other people can do it moving forward. And actually, before I forget, I'm going to embarrass someone in the audience, and that's my executive assistant, Colleen Cochran. Wave, Colleen. Wait, clap. I know you won't take a bow, but but really it was Colleen's effort when we had this idea, and she really put all the logistics together to make it work, and she's here today as well. So what is clinical research? It's research that involves people. I'm not going to read the entire slide to you, just the highlights. And it's clinical research that helps new and better ways to diagnose, treat, and prevent disease. One of the reasons why we're here today. And it also includes health information to understand how a disease develops and progresses over time. This is one definition of clinical research. Mine's a little shorter. And this is just from years of doing clinical research and designing studies, both with people involved and at the lab bench. And that clinical research involves people. It should be interesting, engaging, important. We don't do research just for research's sake. It should be beneficial, and my favorite, it should ask a question we don't know the answer to. And this is a critical reason why we're here today in something known as KT, knowledge translation. Now, this is a requirement to get funding from any organization in Canada and most of the world now, and this really comes from patients with any disease speaking up and saying, you know, we need to take the pulse of research, we need to know what's going on, and we need to understand. And that's really what KT is. It's an umbrella term for bringing research from the lab, from journals, from the clinic to you in a way that you understand. I think the neat thing about Canada is, as this was evolving, it was the federal agency that funds research here in Canada, CIHR, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, that from my research into this last year really came up with the first definition. And again, this is required. All of us who do research have to address this, or grants will not be funded. So this is the one slide I will read to you. It's a dynamic and iterative process that includes the synthesis, dissemination, exchange, and ethically sound application of knowledge to improve health, provide more effective health services and products, and strengthen the healthcare system. And that's why we're here today, and this is our commitment to everyone in the audience to explain research and what we're doing in MS. Last year, we did something called the ARMS test. Did anyone participate in that last year? Show of hands. Okay, thank you all. You really set the stage, and I'll talk about that as we go forward, to start a very interesting research project, which we started here at this meeting about a year ago. This is known as the Action Research ARM Test in MS, conveniently called the ARMS test. It was led by my lovely wife, Dr. Audrey Zucker-Levin. I can't take credit for this. I think she and Colleen really did the lion's share of the work. Who's familiar or who's done the 9-hole peg test? Can I see you raise a hand for that? Great, we all are. It's been in MS research for more than 20 years. It's a really neat test. It's easy, it's quick, it's reproducible, and it teaches us something about coordination of the hands. Our question, which we didn't know the answer to, was might there be another system that might teach us a little bit more than the 9-hole peg test, known as the ARAT test, and that's up on your right. And you can see 9-hole peg test says its name. You put little pegs into a tic-tac-toe board and take them out. We thought the ARAT test might be a little bit more challenging for people with MS. And not only is it fine hand movement, but upper arm coordination as well, through a series of neat little tests, holding blocks, pouring a glass of water, and that kind of thing, and that's on the right. Again, we taught people here last year that research is voluntary. We have to ask your permission. We require your consent. It never interferes with your clinical care, and you're allowed to withdraw from research for any reason you want or for no reason at all. And that's known as voluntary, and we have to ask your permission, and this is just a reminder of that. What did it look like? Someone laughed. The other thing, and I want to really recognize the MS Society for this and others, is that to pull this off in the public domain, we had to take some very important steps. I mean, we really had to maintain privacy, which we did. It had to go through our ethics board at the University of Saskatchewan. It had to be vetted by the MS Society, and they were included in its organization almost every step of the way, and they actually gave us the space and funded this study. And so it's a really important collaboration with the MS Society. And so I'm not going to walk you through this, but again, we had to figure out how to set up a real-time research clinic. And so you came in, you signed up, you picked up a study card, you checked into a master list, and after that, you were given a number, and so we maintained privacy. We consented you individually behind screens to maintain privacy and get consent. And then afterwards, you actually did the 9-hole peg test. You did the ARAT test. There were posters to look at. And of course, I've only been in Canada for 2 years, but somewhere in there, we had a raffle and a 50-50, right? Everything I've been to has a 50-50. I don't think that one was a 50-50. I think we just gave you guys everything. But it's Canada. At an event, you have to have some kind of raffle, right? So that's what it looked like. And so these are the results. And this is some information that we presented at national meetings. And again, our research team identified the factors and the logistics to make it work. Ethical approval, a location for people with disabilities, clinical research education, a research question that could be answered in a single visit that people understood, consent, privacy, recruiting and training of volunteers. The local MS Society was engaged to select an appropriate location and invite stakeholders to the conference. The research team developed a research question with that ARAT kit, give us a little bit more information of the 9-hole peg test. Everything was electronic in a privacy database known as REDCap. And a Likert scale patient survey, a survey that you all took, gave us immediate feedback on whether you might be interested in doing it again. This is what the survey looked like. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just a few things. Did you feel like participating in research today was a valuable experience? Did you feel like you were contributing to MS research, which goes to our philosophy at the university and in our office, that people with MS will cure MS? And would you like research to happen again? And there were a few other questions as well. 65 people last year with MS attended the conference, and 2/3 agreed to do research, and we appreciate that. 73% of the research participants completed the survey with 94%, the vast majority, stating they either strongly agree or agree with the following statement. Did you feel like participating in research today was a valuable experience? And did you feel like you were contributing to MS research? And so everyone felt that they did. 100% of the participants agreed or strongly agreed when asked, would you like to see more research activities taking place at these kinds of events? And so we don't have one for you today, unfortunately, but we have set up a system where researchers from really anywhere in the country can get involved, and we will teach them how to do it, okay? And so this is something permanent we can do in Saskatchewan. These are some of the results. How can I explain this from here? The 9-hole peg test is across the bottom. The ARAT is across the vertical axis. You can see a diagonal line, which means there was a correlation between the two, which means that they agreed with each other. So how you did in the 9-hole peg test gave us some prediction that you would do in a similar way with the ARAT. We learned something about the ARAT, which we didn't know, and that is their scores for normal created a ceiling effect where we didn't get as much data as we wanted to, but we're working on that. So just a little bit of data. Let's talk about the people who participated. I think we said 44 or 48 participated here. And again, this stimulated, again, starting here with you all, this stimulated research on the same question that we took to the clinic. So 48 people started the research, but by the time we continued the research for a whole year, we were up to 112. There were 80 women and 33 men, or almost 80. The mean age was about 50. The mean age of onset of MS was 33. Duration of disease was about 17 years. All kinds of people with MS participated. The mean EDSS, the score we use in the clinic for disability, was about 3. So, what did we find out? The logistics of conducting an on-site KT, knowledge translation, real-time research, clinical research today were challenging yet fruitful for researchers and people with MS. And the majority of people with MS attending the conference agreed to participate in research and felt that the experience was valuable and should be continued. So I do want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's a Saturday, and thank everyone last year who participated, and thank my team for pulling it off. And so enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.